Okay, what is going on, CYPRX advanced YouTubers? Welcome back to another CYPRX YouTube video breakdown. As always, if you're interested in learning about cryptocurrencies, commodities, indices, foreign exchange, please go ahead and consider subscribing to the YouTube channel. And if videos like this help you all out, smash that thumbs up button. It does help boost the YouTube algorithm. In today's video breakdown, we're going to be talking about LCX, Casper, and XRP. First, I'm going to start with LCX, then I'm going to go into a fully diluted breakdown on a leveraged trade position that I'm currently floating in on XRP as of right now. We're going to be talking and focusing in on trendline liquidity and buy traps in the market that I had been mentioning to you guys multiple times on my Twitter account. If you guys don't follow, understand that when I get a little dry on the YouTube about posting technical analysis videos, pay attention to my Twitter because I send out my technical analysis constantly on my Twitter. You guys kind of just got to scroll through my feed. But I want to avert your attention to a tweet that I posted on May 14th where I said LCX alert, potential buy trap in the form of trendline liquidity forming if current price can hold bullish order flow above 4.5 cents. We could see a bullish recovery to grab equal highs around 9 cents. If price fails to hold above the 4.5 cent psychological level, we could see a dip beneath the trend line. And I tweeted this out to you guys, showing you guys kind of this liquidity mindset where we can see, over leveraged positions and traders buying this quote unquote dip, having positions at these lows. So I sent this kind of analysis for you guys and then price kind of moved on. We respected the trend line again and I updated the analysis for you guys scrolling up on the Twitter page. Okay, here was about 3 days later, May 17th, I said LCX analysis still stands. Trendline liquidity, equal highs. Will we attack 0.90 cents to grab equal highs or will we dump to grab the nasty amount of retail trendline liquidity, possibly slamming into 4 to 3.5 cents? Very interesting setup. You all have my targets. Let's watch. And this is the last screenshot that I sent to you guys. Now today I posted another screenshot for you all. LCX tried to tell you all trendline liquidity, and as you guys can see from this screenshot, what did the market makers do? We failed to break the 7.5 cent psychological level and we came to attack lows, or quote unquote trendline liquidity, right? Banking institutions, private investors, big whales know that retail traders are most likely buying these dips in the form of trendline liquidity, mainly because that is a retail trading strategy, right? You can go on Baby Pips. 90% of the freaking influencers and moon boys on YouTube talk about trend lines and following trend lines and buying at trend lines and blah 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 blah. Understand that banking institutions, guys, do not use those methodologies. They target those methodologies. You need to wake up and realize that. And giving you guys proof in the pudding. Okay, so now I'm just going to expand my LCX charts just to give you guys a little bit of updates on price action to show you all what it is that I was talking about. So we can see here this trend line liquidity forming in a sense of the banking institutions were constantly setting up a trap to the downside or liquidity in the form of over leveraged positions and people who are going to be willing to sell in the form of sell stops underneath of these lows if the market does continue down. So with that being said, what did the market makers do? We failed to break the overall high right here, and then the market has now dipped into that area of trendline liquidity. Now could the market rally higher? Yes, it could, but we can also be mindful of the downside potential at the bottom of this trend line, which rests at around 4.5 cents. So in my personal opinion, if the market breaks that 4.5 cent psychological level and we do not see a bullish reversal inside of this kind of like triangular cone thing that I got going on my charts. I don't even know what this tool is called, right? This projection tool. It's just kind of giving you guys a visual of the liquidity that exists beneath this trend line, right? I hope that it's helping. But we could see a potential dip down into 3.5 cents to maybe even 2.5 cents, especially if Bitcoin does not hold the support I mentioned to you guys around 27 to 28K. If Bitcoin breaks that, guys, we're going down. The market's following Bitcoin as of right now, and if Bitcoin tanks again, then the rest of the market is going to follow suit, and we have to assume lower price targets are going to be available to us as retail investors. Now, personally, I'm going to be capitalizing on those targets. I dollar cost average into a position today. Why? Because if we're just looking at price action, right? What is dollar cost averaging? Dollar cost averaging is making sure that you're properly not buying at highs. Well, we can see here the market had capitulated and had kind of, reversed right here in this area, creating another higher low, higher high formation. And then finally, we broke that market structure here, created a lower high, and now we have a low that is beneath a previous low. So I capitalized on a potential dollar cost average position. Right now, if the market appreciates from around 6.5 cents, I could see a potential return on my investment because I put in a buy position on Coinbase here, right? Just adding to my long-term bag. I'm still expecting a pessimistic point of view on coins like LCX, Casper, XRP, all the ones that we cover here on this YouTube channel, guys, to go lower until we see a solid bullish reversal on Bitcoin, mainly because Bitcoin dominates the market and we haven't seen that yet. So again, you guys need to be mindful. Go back, watch my BTC video that I uploaded a few days ago. If this does reverse, my first bullish target that I'm going to be looking to secure partials on, because we don't know how the market is going to react, is at these equal highs around 9 cents. Now, with that being said, again, we don't know how the market is going to react after we dip into an area of liquidity, and there's definitely liquidity above these highs. So with that being said, when the market does reach these levels, we need to be mindful of a potential premium range for bank institutions to take sell positions from. So if this type of price action happens, again, be mindful, start taking profits, secure positions, so that way you're not getting, constantly moved around this market in a negative way, right? Moving on, you guys have my bullish and bearish targets immediately for LCX. Long term, I'm extremely bullish on LCX. I'll cover an article at the end of this video talking about LCX and why it is that I'm bullish. Just giving you guys some perspectives, reading some articles to you all on their website that you guys can go check out for yourself. But now let's go over to this leverage position on XRP. And real fast, before we cover XRP, I actually just wanted to show you guys something, that Casper and LCX look extremely correlated. Now, I'm not saying that they are, because I can't sit here and give you guys any factual proof and documentation that they are and things of that nature, right? I don't have any graphs for you guys. I don't have any statistics for you all that they are correlated and things of that nature. But when it comes to price action, all right, we're pretty much looking at the same exact chart here, guys and gals. All right, if this is the hourly chart on LCX, let me get rid of the session indicator so it's a little bit clear, and then let me just kind of remove the drawlings for you all. Remove drawlings. Okay, cool. If you can see over here on the left hand side, we have the LCX chart. And if you can see over here on the right hand side, we have the Casper chart. Well, I just want you to look at the past couple of weeks worth of price action, where we can see here this kind of dip buying opportunity that people thought it was actually just trendline liquidity, and then the market liquidated all of that trendline liquidity. And the same thing happened here on Casper. If you guys pay attention here over to the right hand side, we see that same formation and then that liquidation event. And now the market on both pairs has temporarily recovered and is starting to attack trendline liquidity underneath of lows. And you guys can see here on Casper, the market is doing almost identically the same thing. We see this trendline liquidity formation. The market had a nice little rally and now is potentially attacking these lows, or in the form of trendline liquidity. Okay, so I just want you guys to be mindful. Again, I'm not sitting here saying that price is correlated. It's just very interesting to say the least that it looks heavily correlated in my personal opinion. My bearish targets for Casper still stand of anywhere between 3 cents coming back to that bottom of this trendline liquidity, or maybe even 2.5 cents if Bitcoin does break that threshold of around $27,000 to $26,000. Let's be mindful of those bullish and bearish targets. You guys know that I'm bullish overall, long-term perspective. Anywhere between a 2 to 3 year hold on both of these assets is what I'm going to be looking to capitalize on. Again, not financial advice, but you guys, to each his own. All right. So now with that being said, let's go back to XRP, and I want to fully give you a breakdown and analysis from the higher time frame perspective on this trade entry that we are currently floating in. I had mentioned to you guys that I don't think that the bottom is in on XRP and Bitcoin and the major top 10 assets. Just personally, guys, that's what I'm thinking. All I can do is sit here and show you guys what it is that I'm seeing on price action, and across the board, we see a lot of trendline liquidity. Now, in my past experience, that usually results in a buy trap where the market makers come and liquidate that liquidity before sending price higher. So where would that put XRP price action at? Anywhere, in my personal opinion, between 30 and 19 cents. I gave you guys those bullish and bearish targets in a previous YouTube video. Go back and watch that. So right now, I'm going to explain to you guys this leverage position that I'm currently floating in on XRP. We entered right about here in this area during Asia session. Stops are above the highs, and I'm going to go into a fully diluted breakdown looking for the market to come down here into this 39 cent to 38 cent psychological level. As of right now, the stops are moved to break even, but I want to give you guys a fully diluted breakdown as to why we were entering into this area right here. I'm just going to highlight that for you, okay, in blue, or maybe I'll even change it to red just to show you guys why we were entering into this area. It's extremely interesting and respects the CYPRX strategy to the T. So first, before we get into this breakdown, I want to divert your attention to the price action information that we had coming into this Asia session from previous Asia session. Going off the ideology that the banking institutions piggyback off of each other, we can see that the past 3 Asia sessions, okay, 1, 2, and now 3, the current session that we're currently operating in, took sell positions. You can see here, banking institutions during Asia took sells at highs. Same thing here, banking institutions during Asia piggyback off of where they sold from the previous day. They gave themselves premium sells and then sold off. Same thing, okay? Banking institutions piggybacking. Now this is a lower low, lower high formation, okay? So coming into this trading session, all we were simply seeing to take these sell positions was that in this area on the hourly price action charts, we see a high and we see a low. This is a new A to B move as of right now, or at least it is a new A to B move coming into this Asia session. Why? Because we broke current market structure. See, this low right here was violated by this price downwards movement, and so we have to take that into accountability, and here at CYPRX we did exactly that. Once the market started to retrace, we started to identify trendline liquidity. You guys know that we trade against trendline liquidity here at CYPRX. Well, as you guys can see, that trend line forming perfectly underneath of these lows. So here we were looking at the market as this new A to B move coming into fruition, where we can see A to B broke previous market structure. So we were looking at this as a BOS, okay? And then not only that, but once the market started to retrace, it started to capitalize on creating trendline liquidity. And that is, again, a signal that we trade against here at CYPRX. So what I want you all to pay attention to is when we were bouncing off of this trend line, what were we creating to the upside? We were creating internal liquidity for the market makers to grab in order to send price lower. Again, as above, so below. The market must go higher in order to go lower. And we see that right here. The market makers sending price higher, giving price discounted price again, sending price higher, creating liquidity traps, okay, in the form of retail money to the downside in the form of trend lines. And what did they do? They came and wicked right above this high, okay, and then the market reversed and fractally broke structure. So I'm going to get into that level here in just a second, but I want to avert your attention to drawing a line. Let me zoom in for you guys so you all can see what I'm talking about. We're going to draw a line right above this wick during this Asia New York session overlap. And as you guys can see, this wick right here was violated. So what can we assume? Right above this high was liquidity in the form of buy stops, in the form of over leveraged sell positions from people who are attempting to sell this at a premium once the market pushed back into this area here. You can see the wick tapped right into this high and then reversed. Now I want to take your attention to this Asia session where we entered in at these three candlesticks right here. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, this is a bearish fractal break in structure on the lower time frame and a market retracement, a Fibonacci retracement of around 62% discount or premium. However you're looking at it, we like to invert our charts here at CYPRX when we're taking sell positions to give our brain the left brain, right brain system and make it think that we're buying. Naturally, humans like to buy price action better. So when you invert your charts, it makes your brain think that you're buying price action, but in reality, you're selling, right, on a leveraged account. So anyways, that's a little gem secret that I teach the students. Okay, so jumping into the lower time frame now, this is again the hourly chart, and I want you guys to see everything so far that we're looking at, just so that way you guys can see my perspective as to why I was taking sell positions. What were my confluences? If you're interested in learning price action, that's what you should be paying attention to in these videos. What can we see here? Confluence number 1, a potential bearish leg, A to B move that broke previous market bullish structure. This was bullish order flow right here. We see a low that potentially grabbed liquidity that led to a higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, and continuation formation, and then that market structure was violated. So we have to take into consideration that this is a new bearish A to B move, and then until price action breaks this high, we are in respecting or could respect bearish order flow, where at any given point in time, the market could sell at a premium, right? And what do we get? So that was confluence number 1. Confluence number 2, we see trendline liquidity forming. Here's 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touches. We know that retail traders like to identify trendline liquidity as the 3rd touch being the strongest touch. All right. And then we also see a trap of internal liquidity inside of this bearish leg taking place above these highs. So with that being said, all we simply did was we waited until the market showed us a sign that the market makers are in control, and they showed us that right here by grabbing liquidity from previous highs and then breaking fractal market structure. We know that banking institutions are the only people that can make that pattern in the market. So now I want to take you guys down to the 5-minute time frame to show you all what it is that I'm talking about. It is insane when you actually pay attention to the technical analysis that I'm attempting to teach you guys, because look here. Here's that pattern that I attempt to identify to you all. Here's that wick right above that red line where we can see over here to the left-hand side, There was liquidity above this high. We already know that this is the new A to B move that we're operating in. Well, we failed to break this high over here to the left-hand side. As you guys can see, here's that A that was failed to be broken. Here's that internal liquidity trap. Here's that grab of liquidity. Now, here's the pattern that I try and attempt to teach you guys to identify multiple times on this YouTube channel. We see the market makers manipulate price during Asia session window of manipulation. They grab liquidity above highs and they shift the market to create a lower low, lower high formation. This is the pattern right here, guys. This is how you can tell that market makers are in control. Why? Because we know that market makers are the only people with the amount of money to move and manipulate the market this way. They had early sellers prior to the Asia session, and they also had buy stops above these highs. They dipped into that area of liquidity and then forcefully pushed the market back down after taking sell positions from premium ranges where they sold from previous sessions. As you guys can see, here's that A to B move that we were operating in, right? So we have trendline liquidity. We have internal liquidity. Now we see that the market makers are in control of the market by shifting the market after grabbing liquidity and rejecting a psychological level, 44200. I'll even put that on for you guys. Boom. So we have all of our self-confluences together and combined. Now all we needed to do to enter into this position, not only that, we had a moving average crossover. We're not going to get into that. That's another little gem that I give to the CYPRX students. But we can see taking our Fibonacci from the high down to the low. I was like, okay, 50% retracement. This isn't really, an optimal trade entry for me. So what did I do? I deleted all of my technical analysis and I was saying to myself, okay, let me look at fractal structure. Fractal structure is telling me, let me get rid of this. And I just want to show you guys how mind-blowing this is, how the banking institutions are really in control of this market. Look at this area of price action right here. So I was taking my Fibonacci from this high to this low, but it wasn't giving me a proper risk to reward ratio. I needed to adjust, right? My stop loss being all the way up here. I was like, okay, where is another significant lower high that I could potentially put my stop loss at to minimize my risk exposure to the market? So what I was looking at was that these were equal lows right here, or retail supportive regions. If I was to, backtrack price action or replay this, we can imagine that retail supportive methodology traders were attempting to buy this area here. So what I did was I looked at this as an area of retail support, and I said to myself, okay, we have a lower low, lower high, lower low formation right here. So I could potentially put my stop loss above these highs and take my Fibonacci retracement tool from here down to the new low that gets created if these lows get violated, and watch what happens. As soon as the market violated those lows, okay, so boom, we violated those lows right here. As you guys can see, one lower high here, and you can see another lower high right here. So all I simply did was I picked this lower high instead of this one to take my Fibonacci from, because we had a market break in structure as of right now. And so I took my fib from the lower high down to the low, extended that over, and I waited for the market to give me a 50% to 62 retracement, putting my stops above these fractal lower highs. And you guys can see how that worked out. Watch this. So the market pulled back, tapped me in to a sell position, and then we went. As soon as I saw this gap and this volume pickup in selling pressure, I knew that this was a good trade. And then boom, we moved our stops to break even, and we are currently floating in this position. CYPRX strategy confluences to the T. We're only reacting to the market once we see the market makers, grab liquidity and then shift momentum. Regardless if you're looking at this from buys or sells, again, as above, so below, it would have been the same pattern if we were looking for buys, right? We're looking for that sweep of liquidity. We're looking for that shift in momentum, and we're getting in on a higher low. As you guys can see, it's the same thing, as above, so below. We're looking for a sweep of liquidity that shift the momentum to the downside, and then we're looking to get in on a lower high for sell positions. For buy positions, we're looking to get in on a higher low. Sell positions, lower high. Guys, it's same thing, as above, so below. So I hope that this technical analysis, in-depth perspective helped you all out understand why I was in leverage sell positions on XRP. My stops are moved to break even. My capital is protected. I have not taken partials from this trade yet, mainly because this is a leverage trade and I'm looking to see if all of this trendline liquidity can get tapped out. We will see in the near future what happens on XRP and how this daily candlestick kind of closes. As of right now, we are floating in a beautiful risk reward ratio. Originally, it was a 1-to-5 risk reward ratio, but once we broke the London session lows, I was like, okay, cool, let's hold this. And now we are floating in a 1-to-12 risk reward ratio, 12% gain on our overall capital, still floating in this position with stops moved to break even. I talk about time and time again, preserving your capital, understanding when to take partials and how to protect your capital, especially to the CYPRX students. If anybody's interested in that technical analysis, the link is in the description down below. Make sure that you all follow me on Twitter, and I'd like to just end this video here with you all. And this is talking about Constellation Network chooses LCX as a partner. Just some interesting highlights for you all from this article, why I'm bullish long-term on LCX. There's so many different reasons. Go through their website, go through Money Metzger's Twitter, read all the stuff that LCX has been doing and involving themselves with. You would be extremely bullish as well if you actually do your research on this project. Constellation Network Inc., a San Francisco-based software, big data, and blockchain company, agreed on a long-term strategic partnership with LCX.com, a compliant and regulated fintech company headquartered in Liechtenstein. The partnership is a step further expanding the blockchain ecosystem by collaborating with other decentralized service providers to develop more secure and scalable blockchain solutions to cater the needs of our users. While there are many blockchain protocol ecosystems that are creating their own token and standard apart from Ethereum and ERC20 tokens, the approach that Constellation is taking with LO tokens and by collaborating with LCX will provide the transparency, accountability, and insurance to token creators and holders, all while being regulatory compliant. In previous videos, we talk about regulatory compliance and we talk about regulatory framework being built into the system right now. I showed you guys a video of that PDF that lady was displaying to a whole bunch of bank and institutional traders and things of that nature at that forum, where she had displayed the the dot chart that talked about regulatory compliance across the board in all nations, and you guys saw the lack thereof. So when that comes into fruition, I'm extremely bullish on LCX long term, mainly because they are regulatory compliant. So scrolling down here, Decentralized Forces Collaboration and Constellation aims to be seen as a world-class partner that's in it for the long haul. I highlighted that because they have key vocabulary right here, long haul. Again, having that patient mindset, that long-term hodler perspective, especially if you're dollar cost averaging in properly on coins like Casper and LCX that are extremely low in price compared to their all-time highs right now. I'd say that, we're definitely in for a nice bullish run. Eventually the market is going to capitulate and we are going to reverse and see new all-time highs in a bull market. Crypto is not going anywhere, you guys. The normal average retail investor is fearful right now. I know that a lot of you aren't. A lot of you guys are hodlers. A lot of you guys are doing the right thing. Continue to do that, right? Don't get tapped out of this market because everybody else is fearful. That is when millionaires are made, okay? But continuing this article, LCX is leading the way to mainstream adoption of cryptocurrency by providing the support needed for institutional traders and blockchain technology, says Benjamin Jorgensen, co-founder, CEO at Constellation Network. So I thought that was big. I like the way that they end this article. So again, take everything into consideration that I said today, guys, via my technical analysis, my bullish and bearish targets. If these videos helped you guys out, smash that thumbs up button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel on your way out. We are almost at 6K YouTube subs, and I couldn't thank you all enough for that. Really do appreciate it. As always, be cognizant, be aware. I'm going to be traveling this weekend, so I don't realistically know how many videos I'm going to be able to get out to you all. I'll probably stop uploading videos maybe tomorrow or Friday. I will see you guys coming into next week. Let's be mindful of all the targets that I put out to you guys. I will keep you guys updated on Twitter. Blessings, and I will see you all in the next video breakdown.